twilight, these sisters discuss the paranormal and the unnerving. They are known as the ParaSisters.
What's up, guys? It's Rebecca.
And it's Tristan.
And we are the ParaSisters. We're
Don't you know?
investigating paranormal. Well, I can't really say investigating, but, you know, because we don't go anywhere.
We are researching and then discussing paranormal happenings from around the world.
Which leads us into the next little thing is we want to research, or we want to go and investigate in real life. So, in order to do that, we need subscribers and likes and follows and all that good stuff.
Yes, most definitely.
Your ice maker is incredibly loud. It sounded like glass shattering. It's like ting ting ting. I'm like, okay. Anywho,
it's a busy day. It's Sunday. Everybody's home.
Tell them to get out. No, I'm just kidding. That's not nice. Like, get out.
I'm gonna have me like a pod lab one day.
Dude, me too.
So it'll be good.
That's my goal. Maybe one day we can film together, like just always. We'll live close enough where we can just do this together.
That would be amazing.
That'd be awesome. All right.
It would be.
So, of course you have no idea what I'm doing. Usually I know what your subject is, so I can type it into our recording software, but you just never know until I say it. So
that's right.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. And today we're going to take a little trip over to the wonderful Green Isle of Ireland.
Yeah, I love Ireland.
And listen, I can do an Ireland accent, but literally the only thing I can say is Northern Ireland. And that's it.
Is it in Northern Ireland?
It actually,
that would be very convenient.
It actually is not. It's in Southern Ireland. Oh, Lord. Okay. So today we are going to talk about Leap Castle. Yay!
I love Leap Castle. I want to own that place.
Dude, me too. Oh my gosh, me too. Listen, on a very, very, I should have actually done it. I won't even bring it up. Never mind. So yeah, it's also another castle in Ireland, but I can't remember the name of it for some reason. It's like Lufthansa or Luft. You know, the one, I don't want to really get into it because I may want to do an episode on it, but.
Just go over it. Yeah, we won't even do it.
So, Leap Castle is, of course, a castle in Coolderry, County Offaly, Ireland. Offaly. I don't know what it's called. Some county in Ireland. You know them, their damn counties.
So beautiful.
I know. Ireland is gorgeous. It's beautiful. I do want to go there someday. But I am not as obsessed with it as Tristan is. So, I had her in mind when I was doing this.
Oh.
Yeah. Because forever I couldn't even think of what I was doing. And then I found this and I'm like, yes, I love Leap Castle. I've seen many, many, many things about Leap Castle. So, I decided to do it. So, there's a lot of different accounts of exactly when the main tower / keep was constructed. It ranges really anywhere from the 13th century to the late 15th century, but people are saying it's most likely that around 1250. Although I did go on their website for the actual, the Leap Castle website, and it does say the 1500s. So I'm not really sure when it was, but it was sometime. It's medieval, of course, so. Which is still, even if you're like 1500s, that's so old. Like
so old.
I was doing research, and like the oldest like wood frame building in the United States was built in like 1637 or something like that. So this was even like 100 years before that. So there you go. So it was built by the O'Bannon clan, and it was originally called the Leap of the O'Bannons. And they use this as a name because the fertile ground or land ground around the castle was associated with the Bannon clan. The O'Bannons were secondary chieftains of the territory, and they were under the rule of the O'Carroll clan. So there's evidence that it was constructed on the same site as another ancient stone structure, which maybe was ceremonial, they think, in nature. And I actually even read somewhere that before that, it was some kind of like druid, like ceremonial ground or something also. So I don't know if that is the structure that they're talking about, but it has been inhabited or occupied pretty consistently since the last Iron Age, which is about 500 BCE. So, and there are actually even some theorists who claim that maybe even since the Neolithic times it's been occupied. So that's kind of interesting. It's pretty old, right? I mean,
that's extremely interesting.
Just the site itself is obviously extremely, I mean, when you look outside and you see like a rock, you know, that rock is extremely old. So it's like, but that's nothing compared to like a site that's been occupied consistently for thousands of years, you know?
Right, like millennia, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what this is. The Annals of the Four Masters, I don't know what it is, but it's a record. And it records that the Earl of Kildare, Gerald Fitzgerald, tried unsuccessfully to seize the
Sorry.
You know that Gerald Fitzgerald. So I think so I read these things and I also think it's quite funny, and then I remember that they literally, like, I'm pretty sure that Fitz, it means like son of, or like, so it would be like right. Gerald, son of Gerald. But still.
Well, yeah, it's kind of it's funny, but like the Nordics did the same thing. Like you had Leif Erikson, which it became Ericsson, the name.
Right.
But it was Leif Erik's son.
Yes. Yeah. Which I actually like a lot, and I wish that my last name was something cool like that. Like, I don't know. Well, anyway.
Your last name means bootlegger.
Yeah, I'm a bootlegger.
That's what our birth names mean. Bootlegger.
That's right. We're bootleggers. Sorry, I want to look at something just really quick. Okay. Okay. I guess I might edit this part out. Anyway. Oh yeah, so Gerald Fitzgerald tried unsuccessfully to seize the castle in 1513, which of course, it's weird that they're saying the late 1500s for date of construction, because if he's trying to seize it in 1513, obviously it already existed. So I don't know what they're talking about. So 3 years later, he attacks the castle again, and he actually manages to partially demolish it. However, by 1557, the O'Carrolls had regained full possession of the castle. So after the death of Mulrooney O'Carroll, okay, is Mulrooney just like the coolest name ever?
I think that it is.
I feel like I should have named my son Mulrooney.
Mulrooney.
Oh, Mulrooney.
I like it.
Yeah, it's weird and cool. So 1532, in a fierce power struggle, which developed within the remaining O'Carroll family, it brought... Oh, brother. I thought that said brought. I was like, this doesn't make sense. The sentence does not make sense. Which would be funny, because I wrote it. At this time, after Mulrooney dies, there's a fierce power struggle, and brother fought against brother to gain chieftainship, which actually reminds me of Stardust. Have you ever seen that yet? I told you to watch it.
I have not.
All right. I might have to find a copy and send it to you. Legend has it that an O'Carroll murdered his brother, who was a priest, whilst performing a mass. So his brother was performing a mass in the upper hall of the castle, and it pretty much goes that the priest started the mass before his brother could arrive, And apparently his brother took this as like a huge insult, and he flew into a rage and he slaughtered his brother where he stood, and his brother ends up dying in the chapel on the altar, pretty much just in front of his whole family, dead. Just because he started a couple. I feel like that's probably not really the reason. I feel like that'd be
probably not.
That'd be
because
that'd be an insane reason to kill. Move. Yeah, that'd be like right. You probably need to go to an asylum if you killed your brother for that reason.
Dick move, man.
Yeah, exactly. So in 1659, the castle passes by marriage into the ownership of the Darby family, and this family owns this castle for a lot of years, almost 300 years. They own this castle. So notable members of the Darby family are like the Vice Admiral George Darby and Admiral Sir Henry D. Esther Darby and John Nelson Darby. I don't know who really any of these people are except for the Vice Admiral George Darby because I looked him up. And of course he was in the Navy at the time, obviously. And this would have been, of course, under English rule at this time because, yeah, these are all Englishmen. So during the tenure of Jonathan Charles Darby, seances were held in the castle by his wife. And this is around like the turn of the century, probably. So, and
it was extremely popular then.
Yeah. So like Victorian times, people are doing seances all over the place, which is kind of insane to me. But whatever.
It was extremely popular.
Yeah, no, people were obsessed. I think even more in the Victorian time than any other time, but they were obsessed with the dead, and not like in a weird, creepy way. But we've talked about this on other shows. You know, they did weird things with the dead. You know, just
take pictures of them like they look like they're alive.
Yes, the pictures. It would take like hair. Dude, I told you I've seen them make like dolls like that are used with the hair of their. I'm just like, it's too much for me, but. That's what they did. Yes. So she, Mildred Darby, liked to have these seances, and she was actually a writer of gothic novels, which I think is actually really cool.
That is very cool.
And so her being kind of famous, this actually led to a lot of publicity about the castle and the ghosts that the castle has, which actually, I'm kind of on, you know... I don't know. I'm on the fence about this because a lot of accounts actually come from Mildred. So like not all of the accounts, but she gives a lot of like personal accounts of the things that she has seen in this castle. So I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. I mean, she did do seances, so maybe she's telling the truth. I don't know.
So I actually watched a paranormal group that I actually trust.
Yeah.
That seems very legitimate. They did filming in at Lep Castle, and they caught quite a bit of stuff there. So I would not discount it because it is a crazy, crazy place.
So yeah, I mean, part of me feels like, obviously she's a gothic novel writer. She does seances. She's really open to these things, you know. So is it more likely to happen to people like that? I think so. It's never happened to me, but that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Just because I'm jealous, okay. That's the
Peanut butter and jelly.
That's the weirdest thing I think anybody's ever said, right? I'm jealous that people have experienced I mean, I've experienced that one. If you want to know, it's in our Halloween special episode of Paranormal Experience, and that's pretty much it. So the central keep was later expanded with significant extensions, and the unfortunateness of this is that in order to pay for these, the Darby family raised the rent of their tenants, and much of the land that was actually accompanying the castle was sold to pay for. And actually... So this is what they think is part of the motivation that during the Irish Civil War in 1922, the castle was pretty much burned. I don't want to say to the ground because its shell stayed, but pretty much it was
destroyed.
Yeah, it was so devastating, right? And the summer of 1922, the Yorkshire Post actually published an article that read, it was kind of like an obituary to the castle instead of being like a news report. And this is kind of what it said. It said, "The passing of an historic mansion is always a matter for regret, but the burning of Leap Castle, a famous link with the past, dear alike to archaeologists and antiquarians, the antiques people, as well as to students of psychology." Why can't I talk today? It's so weird.
I passed it on to you from last episode.
Yes. Research has provoked widespread condemnation and sorrow. So people were like really upset that this castle burned to the ground. So I'm going to get a little bit into there's a part of the castle that if you are a fan of Leap Castle, you have heard of, and it's the Oblette.
Yes.
So this is one of the more sinister features of the Bloody Chapel, which is the chapel that they call where the O'Carroll brother
killed the other
murdered
one. Yeah.
the other brother. And people didn't actually even know that this existed for a very long time because it was hidden, I don't know, in the wall behind, I don't know if it was a door or what, but it was hidden in the Bloody Chapel. And it's actually a small chamber which is located in the northeastern corner of the Bloody Chapel. And it's thought that the original use for these chambers were to store valuables. And they were also used as a place to hide if you were under siege, of course. The O'Carrolls, however, used it for a much more sinister purpose. So they modified the chamber to serve as a small dungeon where prisoners were thrown in, dead or dying. And the entrance, I cannot, my tongue does not function. Okay. The entrance to the chamber is a narrow hole originally fitted with a form of a trapdoor. And the name is derived from the French to forget, oubliette. It's a weird word. I don't know. Okay. Once someone was thrown into the oubliette, now I can't even say it. They were simply forgotten. They were thrown in there, and that's pretty much it. So the O'Carrolls were said to be an extremely cunning and brutal clan, stopping at nothing to achieve domination. So a lot of legends tell of several occasions where the O'Carrolls would employ their other clans as mercenaries to kill off like enemies. So this is so fucked up.
These people were awful.
This is fucked up. So yeah, they would employ these other clans to kill off their enemies, but upon completion of the job, the mercenaries would be invited back to Leap Castle for like a feast. And unfortunately, more often than not, the feast was poisoned and their throats cut. And then the corpses would be thrown into the oubliette. So 39 members of the O'Neill clan were said to be disposed of in this exact fashion. In 1599, another deadly deed happened at Leap Castle, where Charles O'Carroll, the last chieftain at Leap, was at war with the Earl of Tyrone, and he hired the McMahon clan from Monaghan, and they were the mercenaries that he hired. After they fought for him, the O'Carrolls held a feast, and the feast happens, they go to bed, and they're murdered in their sleep. They didn't even have a chance to defend themselves. So the 39 members of this clan are said to haunt the Great Hall of Leap Castle.
I do not doubt that. I'd be pissed off, man.
Yeah. And so,
and actually the oubliette is a hole in the ground.
Yeah, so it was
goes
like
down into it, yeah.
Yeah, it was like they call it a chamber, I guess. I don't know if that's just something they call it to give you like a visualization of, yeah, but it's like a hole, and obviously like if they would keep prisoners in there or whatever, which is strange, but whatever. But obviously it's meant to be hidden because you're supposed to hide your valuables or yourself during a siege. You probably put your women and children in there if it got, really intense in the castle. So I don't know, it's messed up. But so it was during a renovation of the castle in the 1900s that workers found the oblette, and it was hidden behind a wall in the chapel. And at the bottom of the shaft, apparently, were so many human skeletons that it took 3 cartloads to remove all the bones. There were that many skeletons in there, and they were all amassed on top of wooden spikes. So
they put wooden spikes down there and just threw them in.
That's fucked up. So today the oblette is covered over, so people don't really fall in there or go in there, I'm assuming you can go in there if circumstances are right, but I don't know.
I actually saw this specific ghost hunting team go into it.
Dude, I think we've seen the exact same one. Because I know,
okay.
I think I know what you're talking about, but
okay,
we won't say it. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if we could get in trouble, but
I'd rather not, because we're not sponsored by them, and we don't sponsor them.
Yeah, if they want to hit us up,
and it could be copyright, and
if they want to hit us up and give us a shout out, I think we all know who we're talking about.
Right.
So they find these bones on the spikes, and it's kind of believed that the O'Carrolls would actually drop guests through the trapdoor to be impaled on the spikes 8 feet below. And a pocket watch that was found at the same time when it was renovated, dated from the mid-1800s, which shows how recently the oblette may have been used. So they're kind of...
These guys are a bunch of dicks.
Yeah, it's insane. So yeah, from the 1600 or the 1500s to which is crazy because how I just don't understand. Did they have this many enemies in the mid 1800s? I mean, at this point we're talking about, I don't know, but
I think they just make enemies on their own.
Yeah, they just like to
they just like to, I don't like you. I'm gonna kill you now.
They just like to kill people. You're done for.
Clan of psychos.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So that was the history, and now we're going to talk a little bit about the ghosts that are reported to reside in Lep Castle. So, the now burnt out shell of the chapel, I'm assuming they've never really restored the chapel. Now it's just, walls and a floor. It's on the grounds of Lep Castle, remain one of the most haunted settings of the entire estate. And of course, this is where the brother killed the other brother. The Bloody Chapel is apparently home to many, many spirits of Lep Castle. So people passing the castle at night have reported a bright light streaming out of the upper windows. And this occurrence has been reported since the time of the Darbies. So I can't remember exactly when they took over, but at some point, when the castle was left a burnt out shell after the 1922 burning, it was still reported by the passerbys. So post fire, it's been something that's, so even when nobody's in there, they're still seeing a light, which I think would be freaking awesome. If we're walking by this burnt out shell of a chapel and we see light streaming out the window, I'd be like, what's up there? Let's go see. Of course, we'd probably get in trouble for trespassing.
Bring your camera.
Yeah, exactly.
We need some recorders.
Yeah. So even now, the neighbors of the castle telephone the Ryans, who are the current owners, and inform them of the chapel's lights coming out of the windows. People also report strange smells of rubber, and this is in the upper hall of the chapel, and one of the most well-known is referred to of the ghost, is referred to the O'Carroll priest. I'm assuming this is the brother. And the priest has been seen many times in the chapel, and this is a spirit that apparently has been seen lurking on the stairway below, And he's also seen leaving the chapel via the western door to the Barton's Inn. I don't know what that is. I should have looked it up. And down the northern stairs. So people see this guy like walking around. Some believe that since this gruesome discovery of the oblate, I don't even know, in the chapel, an emotional shockwave was sent through the castle, and many spirits, including the elemental, were woken from their dormancy. So Sean Ryan...
You're talking about fairies.
So Sean Ryan speaks of a man who seems to live in the oblate, and he leaves the bloody chapel on occasion and wanders down to the lower levels of the castle. Which is awesome. It's awesome. I
like this place.
I love this place. I want to go here so much. Like, seriously.
Me too.
Yes. Maybe we'll start like a Patreon to go to Lep Castle.
Yes.
That'd be freaking awesome.
It would be awesome. I would love it.
Yes, so much. All right, so now we're going to talk about the priest's house. So since the 1922 fire, the priest house has also remained in ruin. Apparitions, however, have been sighted even before the fire ravaged it. So we go back to Mildred Darby, who lived at Lep Castle. I'm not exactly sure when, 1800s or early 1900s. She died in like 1939, I think. But obviously the castle burned down in 1922, so this was a little bit before that. Okay, so even Mildred Darby, who lived at Lep Castle, her family owned it. I told you she has a lot of stories of paranormal activity, and this is kind of a story that she has to tell. It's not even a story. It's like super short. So there's something heavy that lies on people's beds and snores, and they feel the weight of a great body pressing against them in a room in the priest's house. Which is weird because I'm assuming that this was before the fire if people are sleeping in the priest's house. And
right.
It really freaks me out. I don't ever want to be...
Oh, yeah, no thanks.
I don't ever want to be sleeping if I have, like, paranormal contact with anything. I want to be awake. Yeah. I want to be able to run away. And that's that.
I want to be awake. I want to be able to record, document for scientific purposes.
Yes. I never want to wake up and see, like, a hand in my face or something. Like, I just want to... Please. Okay. So, a monk with a tonsure and a cowl walk in at one window and out another, also in the priest's house. So I don't know where this monk would come from, honestly, but
right, to even have a monk, that's pretty...
Yeah, so I'm not sure if back in the day they would have had, of course, castles were like little cities, right? So they would have the castle, and then they would have usually like houses and things, so they would have to have like their own spiritual leaders and things like that. So I guess it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that monks maybe were passing through at some point or another. But
I wonder too that if at one point when you said that there had been inhabited
right
for millennia before Lep Castle was even built, that at one point it was a monastery.
I mean, right, it could literally, right, hundreds of years, so it really could have been anything at any point.
Right.
And especially, like, if it was any way religious, like, even the Druids would use it for ceremonial purposes. Like, obviously it has some kind of spiritual...
And the Druids could be mistaken for monks, too, if there was a spirit lingering.
That's true.
Because they did dress in cloaks and...
right.
They could be mistaken as for monks if they were Druids.
Exactly. So now we're going to talk about Emily and Charlotte. And I looked and I looked and I looked, and I can find almost no information about either of them. But these are two ghosts of little girls, and they can often be spotted playing in the main hall of the house. And they are said to have lived on the estate during the 1600s. So, I mean, they could have lived in the main house. They could have not. I'm not really sure. So Emily apparently died at age 11 after falling from the castle's battlements. And today there are sightings of a little girl falling from its great height, only to disappear before reaching the ground. And Charlotte, who I'm thinking is maybe Emily's sister, because when they see her, she's dragging her deformed leg kind of like behind her. And I've actually heard some stories where she is calling for Emily like she's walking through the hall calling for Emily. So I'm not sure if they are sisters or I don't know, but I think it's super sad.
That's insane. Can you imagine how scary that would be to like see somebody falling from like the top of the battlements?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then it disappears.
You're like, holy shit. Because I remember one time Sassy and I went to this place. We went to the casino. We went to the Stratosphere for our anniversary, and we stayed there. Well, we go up, and we're like on the 30th floor or something like that, and we open the window, and somebody is literally falling down because we didn't know that they had a skyscraper there.
Oh yeah.
Where you jump off the building and you're on a line.
Yes.
Well, we see somebody falling down, and we're like, what the fuck?
Dude, that would freak me out. I'd be like, holy shit.
So I can imagine what that would be like to see somebody falling, only to see that they're either not there or fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's
so I
crazy.
totally get that feeling. And that's super
crazy.
sad.
It is super sad, yeah. And I mean, if she I can't find any record of her. Not saying she doesn't exist. She most likely did, as well as Charlotte, and she probably fell. I mean, if that's her reliving her death, then obviously that's probably what happened to her. But
that's pretty awful, actually.
It's terrible. So there's another
stuck in an eternity.
I know, right? And then poor Charlotte, who's also stuck trying to find her sister, most likely Emily. I mean, it's sad. It's just so sad. I feel sad for people that lived hundreds of years ago. Okay. So now there's another story of, they just call her the murdered woman. Again, this is a story that goes back to the O'Carroll rule, which I guess is not shocking since these people are psychopaths. The ghost of this woman wanders around, having been murdered by a member of the crazy, brutal O'Carroll family during the 1500s. Sightings usually are of a terrified woman who's spotted wearing very little clothing. She apparently screams twice and then disappears into thin air. So an almost naked ghost screaming and then disappearing into thin air.
I don't do screams. I just don't. That would...
No, it's like, what do you want me to do? Why are you screaming at me, please? I can't help you.
That'd be the second I nope the hell out of there. Yeah. I don't do screams, and I don't do, like, laughter.
Laughter, wailing of any sort. Like...
Right. No.
No, we don't like that kind of stuff. I don't like that. But, I mean, I don't know. Either. It would actually kind of be cool to see and hear, I suppose, but...
It'd be very cool, but, I mean, like, we've talked about this before on other shows.
Yes.
Like, the screams that... I mean, because...
It's weird. I don't even...
like, screaming equals anguish to me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, I'm like, that person is anguished, and that would bother me, I think. It doesn't make me afraid. I think it would just bother me on an emotional level. You know what I mean?
So it is bothersome, actually, to think of, people being in such turmoil and trauma, and now their ever after life is stuck in the
turmoil
same
trauma,
right.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's sad.
It is awful and sad.
I wonder if there's a way to help them move on. Maybe they don't want to.
I don't know.
Maybe they like scaring the shit out of people. Who knows?
Maybe, which they may not even be an intelligent haunting.
Right, it could just
It
be
could
an
just be
imprint
that energy left over.
That's true. Still, though, I don't know. So there are two lesser seen apparitions. The governess, also referred to as the nanny, is actually often seen alongside Emily and Charlotte. I'm assuming when they are seen in the hall, because sometimes they're seen in the hall, sometimes Emily is seen from falling, from the battlement. But obviously this nanny attached herself to them, and who knows what what that is, but they don't have really any kind of references to her other than the fact that sometimes she's seen with these two girls, and that's pretty much it. So
that's really sad.
It is sad, but maybe she loved them so much that she can't be without them.
Well, yeah, and it, in those times too, like a lot of times the nanny was like their mother,
right?
That was like the thing to do. You get a governess, and they take care of the children.
Exactly. And
like, there's a lot of accounts where the governess actually loved those children,
Which I think happened probably more often than not, just because, they raise them, they teach them, they
feed them, they take care of them.
Right, they comfort them if they're upset. It is a mother's role, except unless, you're a rich chieftain's wife or something, I don't know. Then, you don't got to take care of your kids, it's okay. Which I've actually heard of that's still happening nowadays, but where they'll hire a nanny and that's that. So
I can't even imagine.
I assume that happens in the royal family still, so. But maybe I'm just being judgmental.
That would bother me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That would annoy me, honestly.
It would annoy me too. I'd be like, why is he wearing those pants?
You'd be like, what's this? What's going on here? Change his clothes. So the second apparition that's seen kind of sporadically is an old man who's been spotted on occasion sitting in a comfy armchair, just kind of hanging out, enjoying the heat in front of the main hall's grand fireplace. So I'm assuming that's the only place he's seen. He doesn't walk around and stuff, but that'd be kind of cool to see, I guess.
That would be very cool.
Yes.
This place is just cool, period. Like, anything that were to happen to me, I would enjoy it, because
yes,
it's just so, it's such a neat place.
It's awesome. And
it's a beautiful Ireland.
It's so historic, which I love. Love, love, love.
Yes.
Even if it weren't haunted, it would be really cool, and I'd want to go here, so.
Right. I want to own this place. I'm not even joking.
Well, I don't think the guy that owns it right now is giving it up, so.
I know. Well, it's not like I could afford it anyway.
Well, we may someday. You never know.
Right.
So another apparition, which I think is arguably probably one of the most awful and just horrendous. She haunts the castle to this very day. People see her and they just call her the Red Lady. And there have been sightings of this entity for centuries. And she is said to roam around in a long red dress. She's tall, she's lean, and she has flowing brown hair. The Red Lady is also seen carrying a dagger, and her hand is raised in a menacing manner. And so the story of the Red Lady is that the woman, she was a woman who was captured by one of the O'Carroll clan, and she was raped and fell pregnant. And I'm assuming at this point they have her as like a semi-hostage. Like, she's probably not allowed to leave. But upon delivering her baby, the O'Carrolls kill the baby with a blade, and out of despair, the woman grabs the knife and ends her own life also. Because she's just so distraught over her baby, which is sad.
That is sad.
I mean, it's sad you're kidnapped and held for whatever, and...
Why wouldn't they just kill her?
I don't know. Maybe they liked using her. I don't know. Like, maybe they just liked having her around. I don't know. Because another account, which maybe is more believable for your taste, I don't know, but another account states that two of the men, the O'Carroll men, were fighting over the woman, and when she tries to flee, they chase after her and end up stabbing her to death for trying to leave. So maybe that's more believable.
I like that one. That one to me sounds more. I'm not saying the other one's not plausible because I mean these people were psychos.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah,
But
you can't try to like hash out the motivations of psychopaths, but
right, I don't know.
I think
To
that
me,
one.
I was like, why would they wait for her to have the baby and then kill the baby? Why wouldn't they just like push her down the stairs or kick her in the stomach until the baby
Or
died, or
just
you know what I mean, like to allow her to carry full term and then have the baby.
it
You know
is
what I
odd.
mean?
It is odd. I agree.
I think the two brothers fighting, and then when she tries to leave, they kill her. I think that sounds a little more plausible.
Yes.
But again, they're sociopaths, so I don't.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
I don't understand their brains. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the elemental. And so the elemental, in this case only, I'm just going to say what I read. I didn't do any outside research on elementals, so you're not going to find that here. You got to do your own stuff. So this spirit predates many families of Lep Castle. So some suggest that the apparition named the Elemental potentially date back to the time of the Druids, when sorcery would have been used to protect the sacred land on which Lep Castle was then built. So that could be true. I don't know. Others say that Gerald Fitzgerald was the Earl of Kildare, remember? He apparently was a skilled practitioner of magic, and they think that he possibly, in a bid to take over the castle, is responsible for summoning this spirit. Either way, it is said that the elemental is a menacing and sinister presence who only makes itself known to those who provoke it.
Ooh.
So, I kind of want to go and provoke it. But then I'm also terrified, so I probably wouldn't be doing that.
Right, because it may be inhuman. It may be of the devil.
Well, if it's called the elemental, so obviously that invokes thoughts of it's from the earth. So it's probably not.
What do they say? What do they say that happens if they do?
It doesn't say anything.
Really?
It never says
Ooh,
anything. So it's completely up to your own imagination to wonder what happens if the elemental is provoked.
Ooh, interesting.
Obviously, I'm thinking that most people are too terrified to provoke it, so they don't.
Right.
Which I could see, honestly. I could see that. So there's another room in the house, or in the castle, and it is called the Murder Hole Room. And it's also referred to as the Muckle Hole Room. And so various experiences were reported in the time of the Darbys, Mildred probably having a lot to do with that. Unfortunately, they never ever knew where this room was located. And so they think that two possibilities of the room's location are either the north or the south wings, which are blue and red rooms respectively. So one argument for the south wing is that the south side of the tower, which was the original entrance, features I hate that I can't pronounce words, but it's the metriculation, and this is a thing that you've seen them, I'm sure. I'll put up a picture, but for your sake I will try to describe it. So it's on the outside of the castle, like on the wall, and it's two gables, like, you know what gables are, they're like fancy, like, and then it has like a chute type thing, so it looks like a hole in the side of the wall, and that's actually where they used to throw like hot oil and things like that on enemies. And it's like a chute is the way that I think of it. So theoretically, a murder hole, in the traditional sense, may have been situated in this area of the castle, which would guard the main entrance. So obviously, I don't know if they're trying to say that that thing is actually what they refer to as the murder hole, but I don't know. It sounds very strange to me. So building of the Gothic wings forced the removal of sections of the north and south walls, which they think most probably destroyed the structure, the murder hole. So alternatively, the murder hole room may have been situated on the northern or the blue wing. Looking at the layout, the northern rooms are under the oblite, which is right above it. So the oblite could have easily been referred to as the murder hole, which actually sounds pretty plausible to me. So
it does. It could be just
right. So, of course, this also ties into the spirit of the murdered priest and the account that I'm going to read to you from Mildred Darby, because she retells of her experience in the murder hole room in her article, The Kilman Castle, which is also titled The House of Horror. So, she says, I put my hand out of bed, snapping my fingers to call her Nell, which was her dog. My hand was suddenly in a grasp of another hand, a soft, cool hand at a temperature perceptibly below my own flesh. To say I was astonished would be but mildly convey my feelings. After a few seconds of steady pressure, the other hand let go, and almost simultaneously I heard a heavy, sliding fall like the collapse of a large body at the foot of the bed. Then, in the absolute stillness of the room, there sounded a deep, human groan and some half-articulated words, or to be more accurate, prayers. People have complained before, in fact. We don't generally put anyone in there now. The room is called the Muckle or Murder Hole, and the story goes that the stain on the floor, there's a stain on the floor apparently, is the blood of a man stabbed there by his brother. So obviously this is close, like we said, it's right below the bloody chapel. So he stabbed his brother there while they were quarreling over the ownership of the castle. So maybe it's not so maybe it's not the bloody chapel. Maybe she's referring to something else if they're quarreling over the ownership of the castle, which is what I suspect anyway, that the brother killed his priest brother over, was the ownership of the castle. So maybe that's what she is talking about.
Right. Was the priest brother older than the other one?
I have no idea. I don't even know if you could find ages of people back then.
Of course, right.
Yeah. But
I mean, because that makes sense, and it's right under the bloody chapel.
Yes.
Right under the oblate.
Oblette.
The murder hole.
The murder hole. So the room had been disused for 50 years or more when we did it up. The stain had been planed off the boards several times, but it always comes again, creeps up from below in a few hours. And that was Mildred Darby's tale.
That's insane.
It's not so freaky. But it's crazy because Mildred also claims to have seen the girls. Like, I think it was Emily. She said that she saw in her bedroom one night, she's laying in the bed with her daughter, and she looks up and she sees a girl with fair hair and like a white dress standing like over by her fireplace, and she actually looks to check to make sure it's not her daughter, and when she looks back, the thing had disappeared. So, and she's fairly certain it was Emily or Charlotte. So I don't know.
How freaky.
It's awesome. So I do want to talk a little bit.
Is.
I know. about the current owner of the castle, who is Sean Ryan, and he is apparently a musician in Ireland, and I think he's pretty famous. He must be pretty well off to buy a castle, and I think he restores it even. So he insists that he doesn't fabricate when telling a story of what he and his wife see and hear at the castle. Where most would refer to these apparitions as ghosts, Sean always calls them spirits. And he actually describes seeing these visions of people regularly, and around them they have a haze. And so I think it's interesting that he calls them spirits instead of ghosts, because I'm not sure that there's like much of a difference, but
A difference, yeah.
But he says sometimes there's a lot of activity, other times less so. They hear sounds of footsteps, doors opening and closing, and crowds talking, which is kind of cool. However, on occasions that he has gone in the direction of the noise, nothing is there. With the location of the spirits just always out of reach, he never can see them. There is a spirit, though, a lady, and I wonder if this is the murdered woman or even the red lady, who likes to touch people, and a lot of guests claim to have felt her presence while in the castle. And I think his daughter actually even says that she enjoys, sometimes she'll be walking and she'll get a small nudge on like her shoulder, and she enjoys it. So reminded me of you.
Well, no.
I was like, a psycho. I enjoy that.
No, I would. I actually would. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually would enjoy that. Just as long as it was, like, not, like, malicious, you know what I mean, or malevolent.
Yeah, it's just a gentle nudge. Kind of like, hey, what's up?
Yeah. I can't say that I would enjoy having my hand touched while I was laying in bed, but
Yes.
especially if somebody grabbed it, like, I can't say that I would enjoy that all too much.
No,
But, like, a gentle nudge.
I'm not even sure what I would think of that, honestly. I'd be like, ooh. Especially if it's like cold and clammy and like, um so the remarkable thing about Sean is he says that even though with all these experiences, his guests are never alarmed by it. They stay calm, and he's surprised that so many people have stayed calm in the face of these things happening. And he actually doesn't think of his house as being haunted. And as far as he's concerned, the spirits he sees and hears have as much right to live there as he does. So he's happy. He lives with them. And he's lived there since 1994, when he actually moved in and started restoring the castle. And
That's very cool.
yeah. And I do want to tell one little side note story, and this is going to be the last story, but I think it's interesting, and it has to do with Sean. So, Sean, I don't know, I'm assuming this is pretty close to when he first moves in. He invites two druids into the castle to see if they can, like, figure out what's going on. So, Druid Melvin Ryan and Druid Eileen Lawrence spent some time at the castle, and they both said that they could get the smell of decaying flesh in some of the rooms. And apparently the druids constantly make like a burping like sound, and apparently this is their way of not getting possessed by any unwanted entities while they're conducting their investigation. And at the end of the whole thing, the druids actually conclude that only a shaman can heal the tormented spirits of Lep Castle. So, what does Sean do? He hires a Celtic shaman by the name of Joseph Mullally, and he's asked to conduct a walkthrough of Lep Castle. Joseph says when something very dramatic, emotional, and horrific happens within an area, there's a strong earth energy. The imprint of the trauma is held within. So Joseph then told Sean that he had to make contact with the spirits of Lep, and they have asked for 3 wishes. The spirits have asked for this. And these are the spirits' 3 wishes, which is kind of awesome. So, 1 is that there should never be any shutters put on the windows of the chapel. 2,
Okay.
that a certain door within the castle should never be locked. And 3, the final wish, is that a certain room in the castle should never be paneled up. Sean himself said that he and his family have kept and plan on keeping their promises to the spirits of Lep Castle.
Huh.
The end.
I love Lep Castle. Do you know there's fairy mounds there too?
Yes, dude, there's so many awesome things. It's in Ireland.
That's why I'm sorry. That's why I was kind of wondering if the elemental is part of the fairy mounds.
So it could be. None of the things that I read mention the fairy mounds or really anything about the elemental other than it's this menacing presence that people feel. So I don't know. I don't know. I guess I should have done a little backstory on elementals. Because honestly, in my mind, I get like a picture of the Lord of the Rings. It always goes back to Lord of the Rings, right? The Balrog.
Legolas running around.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking Legolas.
I was thinking something a little more evil. Although Legolas kind of annoys me, but that's beside the point. That's totally beside the point, yeah. So, I don't know.
I loved it. I love Love Castle.
I love it too. I want to go here so bad.
Me too. I want to go to Ireland, period.
Yeah, me too. I think we should go to Ireland and have like a little tour of Ireland also.
So, I actually, I read, it's been quite a while since I've read this, and I don't know if it still is true or it still stands the way it did, that if you are a direct descendant of somebody from Ireland, that you are granted citizenship for like $50.
Yes.
But if you're a direct descendant, and we are direct descendants from people from Ireland.
Yes.
So, I was like, I'm like really thinking about getting dual citizenship, man.
That would be freaking awesome.
Wouldn't it?
I want to do that too.
And because we would be citizens, our children would get citizenship, and so would our spouses.
Yes, let's do it.
I agree. I think we should.
And then when we're rich, we'll go over there and buy a small castle and renovate it and live there. Hopefully with some ghosts.
A small castle. A whole huge castle.
Well, I'm thinking of price, of course.
Well, if we're rich, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Interesting.
And it would be like our family ancestral home. Like all of our generations after would live there.
Yes. Or at least live near there.
How awesome would that be? Right.
It'd be super, super awesome. Although I would be hesitant to leave America. But we could live there part-time and then come back.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
Because I do love America.
I also love America. The United States. The good old US of A.
However, it's not as historical and wonderful as maybe Ireland is. But that's okay. It's okay.
It is okay. And I mean, like, there's nothing. We're not turning our back on our American citizenship and status here. We are Americans.
That's right.
But you know what I mean? Like, you can. I have a friend who's actually she's actually from Australia.
Yes.
But she lives in the United States and has dual citizenship. But she says that she's an American. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yes. So it goes on the list of places to see. Lep Castle.
I think Lep Castle's at the top of my list.
Certainly of castles, yes. Because I am obsessed with castles in general. And
I am too.
if they are livable, I'm even more obsessed with them. Like, because you can see
Me
ruins of
too.
castles almost anywhere in Western Europe. But if they're livable, that like adds like another level of like, and if it has like a crazy gory history, well, there you go on top of that. So,
Right.
which I love.
I
I,
want to see. I want to go to Lady Bathory's house, her castle, her estate.
why does that sound familiar?
Because she is the, what do they call her? She's the one that killed all the girls and bathed in their blood.
Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah, like hundreds of girls
Where did she do
and
this
bathed in
at?
their.
Should we do a story on this?
I think we should. I actually was thinking of doing the Bathory Castle. I can't remember now.
Go
It's
for
like right
it.
there, but I'm like, I think I'm going to. Um, but because it's on my list of things to do. But yeah, I would love to go to this castle.
That would be awesome. Possum.
Yes,
Oh, I love castles.
me too. I
Love
love this castle. I loved the story. There's some things that I didn't even know. You know what I mean? About like the little girls. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
It is
crazy.
crazy and sad.
Super sad.
And I didn't really, I don't think I knew or I didn't remember because it didn't sound familiar when you're talking about the Bloody Chapel, why it
Right.
was the Bloody Chapel.
Yeah. Yeah, that clan's jacked up, man. They're jacked up people.
Man, yeah, they are. I wouldn't even want to be part of that clan. I'd change my name. Like a bunch of sociopaths and psychos.
I don't want to say that if there are surviving members of the clan Carol now, maybe you're nice people. I don't know. But I'm not making
Yeah,
judgments on you. I'm just making judgments on your ancestors, okay? That's all.
right. I mean, evidently, like our family was a family of bootleggers. So,
Bootleggers. It's funny because on a very
who are we to judge?
side note, um, there is a high probability that when our own ancestors immigrated to the United States, that their last name was accidentally misspelled. So instead of the F, there is some evidence that it might have been a V instead. So that could be interesting. I don't know. Which would
It could be.
change.
I had talked to somebody a long time ago when I worked in that buffet,
Yes.
and he actually is an ancient German studies professor.
Right.
He was visiting his parents, who I was really good friends with.
Mm-hmm.
They'd been my customers for many years. And he's the one that actually told me that it could be
Right.
derived from this or this. And he said that um, the way our name is, well, my maiden name and your name, the way is it sounds like bootlegger.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
It is awesome.
And
Can
on
you imagine the family history on that?
and on another side note, I had seen some of Grandpa Pete's genealogy, and he was 23 degrees separated from one of the Hanovers. So I knew we were royalty, but there you go.
I actually remember our dad telling us that we were part of the royal family when I
Yes.
was very young. I actually remember him telling me that.
That's awesome. And from this day forward, I demand that people refer to me as Your Royal Highness. Please and thank you. Or Her Ladyship. I guess it's presumptuous of me to think that I'd be the highest, queen. So, Her Ladyship will do.
Right. Yeah, but no, I remember our dad telling us that a long time ago. I was probably like maybe 6 or 7
Yeah, it
when he
doesn't.
said that. we were part of the royal family, which obviously Germany has no royal family anymore.
Yes.
But
Well, and the Hanovers are English, so obviously, um, our part of the royal family would have married into the English part of the royal family at some point. Either way,
right.
I am what I am. I'm waiting for that day when it's like King Ralph style. Have you ever seen that with John Goodman? How like
No,
what the entire royal family is killed off, and John Goodman, he's like a lounge singer in Las Vegas. He
I love John Goodman.
he ends up inheriting the royal throne of England or the UK because the whole entire royal family is killed off. And so now I'm waiting for someone to come and knock on my door and say, "Hey," although you're older than me, so I might have to. We might have to have an O'Carroll.
Oh, we're gonna do Carol style now.
Yeah, we're gonna have the O'Carroll fight, but we'll see what happens.
Thanks. Thanks. I'm gonna watch my back now.
You're warned. All right.
I'm on notice.
You have been warned. Oh, Lordy. All right. All right. So, I guess we're going to end this. So, but if you guys enjoyed this, make sure you go and watch all of our other videos, subscribe to us, do all that other stuff with notifications. I can't think, honestly. Maybe you should talk now.
Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, please, so you guys get our content. You don't have to go and look for us. Follow us on all our social media. Our links will be in the description in this video. Also, if you guys have some spooky tales, if you've been to Lep Castle,
Yes.
or had any experiences at all, please let us know at our Gmail, which will also be in the link below. Yep. And you guys just, follow us. We have great content.
And tell people about us.
Tell your friends. Share us with your friends. We have gotten 2 new subscribers.
Dude,
on our YouTube channel. I'm so excited about it.
I was just thinking that like Thursday or Friday, we had like 19 subscribers. And then yesterday I saw that we had 25 subscribers. So I was like,
Yay.
Yes, what's up, subscribers? What's up? Now tell all your friends. And I also wanted to say, maybe I should say this at the beginning because we need some input, I think, that if our videos are too long, we want to know that. So if you guys are feeling like you're not going to watch an hour plus video, let us know. And maybe we'll try to do like 2-parters from now on or something like that. But we want you guys watching these whole videos and liking them. So
yes, and you guys should watch them because, we're pretty awesome. So
we're fan-freaking-tastic. And if you don't think so,
yeah,
well, screw you. Okay?
Yeah, you one dislike guy. I don't know who you are, but I saw it.
Who disliked us?
Somebody disliked one of our videos, and I was very sad to see that.
This is my disapproval face. I don't like it. Although, in the beginning we did say you can dislike us. So, we live in America. If you want to dislike us, well, you can go fuck yourself and do whatever you want. All right. And on that note, I'm going to say we'll catch you all on the flip side.
And you all stay creepy.
Peace.